Health Alert is brought to you by OU Physicians in Tulsa. Hello, welcome to Health Alert. I'm Pam Butler. Today we're going to talk about healthy superfoods, and joining me is Lauren Bradley. She's with the Tulsa Health Department. You're a health educator and a registered dietitian.
That's correct.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you've been on before, so people may have seen you talk about some of the things we're going to start off with, but for those who haven't, review and new stuff is always good.
Yes.
So let's talk about, in general, eating healthy. What does that really mean when we talk about so much we should eat healthy, eat healthier? What are we really saying?
Well, I think most of the time when we're talking about eating healthy, I mean, we have so many fast food options now. You can go out to eat. Eating healthy, I think, mainly means sticking to that food guide pyramid, which is make sure you get your whole grains, your fresh fruits and vegetables, your lean meats, your low-fat dairy, and a minimal amount of fats, oils, and sweets. I think that's overall kind of a healthy diet. I think a lot more people, though, these days get more of those fats, oils, and sweets and less of our fruits, vegetables, etc.
Okay, now when you talk about the food pyramid too, especially for households with children, do the adults need to eat a little bit differently than the children differently than the adult, that kind of thing?
Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with just portion size in general. We're a nation where we tend to overeat and overindulge, but those children most of the time need a lot smaller calorie amount than the adults. But as far as milk and dairy, that's one of those that across the board we all need to make sure we're getting at least 3 servings a day. Okay,
and now for children, when you talk about those dairy kinds of things, especially with milk, is there a guide whether they need more whole milk, more of the skim milks, 1%, 2%, soy milk, rice milk? I mean, there's all kinds of milks. Yeah, so what should we look at for our kids? What really should we be looking at as far as what they get, and does that change based on their age?
Yeah, it definitely changes based on age. Once your child gets to 1 year old, that's the point where they can start having whole milk. And at 1, they're still at that age where they're growing and developing, and they need whole milk because most of the time they just came off formula or were breastfed. So from age 1 to 2, that's when they need that whole milk. After age 2, though, none of us need to be drinking whole milk unless we have some sort of reason that we're not getting enough calories. After 2 years old, we can all be drinking skim or low-fat milk, which would be that 1%. Because really we're getting so much other fat from our other foods that we don't need to get it. The calcium requirements are going to be the same, and they're the same in all the different kinds of milks. Regardless of which kind of milk you have, you're getting the same amount of calcium. The only thing that's different is the fat.
Wow. Now tell me a little bit too about the flavored milks. Is that a good thing for kids? Because, you know, you got chocolate milk, strawberry milk, and you can even buy things that you add to it to give it flavoring. Is that a good thing or not a good thing?
I think it totally depends on your child. I guess however much else sugar they get in their diet from other foods. If that's the only way that your child's going to drink milk, then adding a little bit of sugar from the chocolate, and especially you can get sugar-free now, chocolate milk, or add sugar-free chocolate syrup, then if that's going to get them to drink the milk, then I would say that would be a good choice because they're still getting all that calcium and vitamin D from the milk.
Okay, and that's the main thing. Now talk a little bit about the plate because as you said, we don't tend to eat as healthy as we probably should, and maybe if we're eating some healthy foods, can we go overboard? How should we view our plate in terms of portions and you know, that little cut it into thirds and all? Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, as far as if you're looking at your plate, about half of your plate should be made up of fruits and vegetables. And you should lean on the side of more vegetables. Most people choose the opposite.
Right, it's usually mostly meats.
Usually it's mostly meats and whatever. But yeah, half of your plate should be fruits or vegetables. And we're not talking about adding all the butter and all the other condiments that go on the vegetables, just steamed with seasoning. A fourth of your plate then should be a whole grain, so you could have rice or potatoes, sweet potatoes, and then a fourth should be your lean meats or beans.
Okay, and then where do you add that dessert?
Wow.
Where does that get factored in now, Lauren?
A lot of times people can, if you take a fruit cobbler or something, then you're still getting fruit and it's not as high in fat. Low-fat frozen yogurt is another healthier option, but it is, we talk with our kids and we tell them about sometimes foods. So it's okay every now and then to have some ice cream because we do need a little bit of fat, just as long as we're not having it every day.
Okay, and even when we think about that, are there portion size concerns that we should focus on, even with those desserts? Like, Should we have a couple cups? Or, I mean, you know, should we really focus on how much of that we're taking?
Yeah, definitely when you're eating desserts, a lot of times we end up eating half of the pie or 3 cups of ice cream. But a serving size for at least ice cream is half a cup is a serving. And that's not very much. That's smaller than usually your fist. And a lot of times we're going overboard. But yeah, half a cup for kind of your cobblers and ice creams, and then a small, probably like 8 slice of pie or cake would be probably about a serving.
Okay, now let me ask another question in terms of, you talked about your meats being about like a quarter
Of your plate?
Of the plate. Should we try to weigh our meats? Because let's say we're going out to a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to tell exactly how much meat that is, and maybe the plates are a little bit different than the size plates we have at home.
Yeah.
So is there another way we can kind of eyeball the meats and things to know what size we're really getting or what we should focus on?
Yeah, a serving of meat is about the size of the palm of your hand, or kind of like a cassette. Like the old days, you know, we had cassette tapes.
Right,
So
right.
about the size of a cassette, or what would fit kind of in the palm of your hand, would be about 3 ounces, which would be a serving of meat. A lot of times you're getting 2 chicken breasts, or you're getting a piece of steak that would take up both sides of the palm of your hand. So really, if you're talking about one serving, again, it should fit in about the palm of your hand. So that's steak or chicken or fish, all of those meats. And if you're talking about beans,
Okay.
say you're having beans instead of the meat, then again, it's about a half a cup would be a serving.
Okay, now some people may wonder too, okay, our palms of our hands and our sizes can vary, Lauren. So should it still be based on your palm size because that's getting the proportion to your body needs? Or if you do have larger hands because you are naturally a larger person, like men sometimes
Yes,
compared to women,
yeah.
Should they have that palm, or is it just really about the palm of your hand?
I think in general it's about the palm of your hand. Now for men, maybe it wouldn't be your palm plus your fingers.
Okay.
Because then we could, well, look how big mine is.
Exactly.
So I would say generally around sticking to the palm, I think would be the best way to go. And it's again about 3 ounces. So you could look again on your menu if you're ordering out, you know, am I having an 8-ounce steak? Well, then 3 ounces would be a serving.
Okay.
So again, looking at those portion sizes.
You know, and
too.
some restaurants too are going to half sizes where they're talking about half, and it appears that the half size is more of the normal size.
Well, exactly. Most of the time it is. A lot of times what you're getting when you order a single serving, I mean, you could split for 1 or 2 people. So definitely ordering that half size would be the way to go. Again, or if you do order the whole size, ask them when you get your meal, hey, could you go ahead and box up half of this so I can take it home? And then you're
Good
getting 2
idea.
meals for the price of 1.
Good idea. Let me ask this other quick question before I go to break. Is it a good idea when we're looking at foods and mealtime to maybe try to drink something before we eat? So if we're going to have milk or other liquids like that, is it a good thing to try to drink that to take up some space in our tummies
Yeah.
so we might not overeat?
Yeah, a lot of times if you would just have a glass of water, or like you're saying, a milk, that is going to kind of fill you up a little bit without adding a lot of extra calories, especially if you had a glass of water. It's
Okay.
going to take up some of that space, and you're exactly right. Kind of slow down the eating because you're going to be a little bit full from just drinking that water. Great
Okay.
suggestion. Yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to take a really quick break and come back and focus on some healthy foods and why are they healthy.
Great.
Okay, please stay with us. We'll be right back.